today's today's presentation is really a very basic overview. I think if you're making games or if you're playing a lot of games, this may not be like a really uh, big news or new information for you. But what I want to do at the end of this presentation, I want to hear your feedback and your thoughts, what you would like to see more about in the future. We could talk more about marketing. We could talk about fundraising. There are a lot of different things. So please just think of today's presentation as just an introduction to a future conversation. So a little bit about me. I've been in the games business for more than 30 years. And I've been really lucky to be at the right place at the right time. I started my career at Sega. As a university student, I wanted to make toys or games, but I grew up in a small town. I went to a small university. And actually, at that time, when I graduated, 1988, there was no healthy games business in the US. The only place that had a healthy games business was Japan. So I became an immigrant. I sold my motorcycle, I sold my mountain bike, and I had enough money for a one-way ticket to Tokyo. I could not afford a ticket home. So I flew to Tokyo. I was an English teacher for 2 years. And then I got really lucky. I had a chance to get an entry-level job at Sega. And little by little, I learned Japanese. And I ended up staying at the Sega for 7 years, first in Tokyo, then back to the US. And this was during the Sega versus Nintendo era. Then I moved on to Bandai, back to Sega for 2 more years. Then I went to Microsoft, where I launched the Xbox 360. I went to Japan, back to the US, to the UK. And as you can see, I worked all over, including a CEO of Square Enix, head of publishing for Fortnite. So I've really had a chance to see the video game industry grow. It started as a high-tech toy in only a few markets, and now it is a rich media that's in every part of the world. So my passion now is to be an evangelist. That's why I teach in the games program at the University of Southern California. And this is why I love to visit places like Kazakhstan to meet other gamers. I've been to Kazakhstan 3 times now, both to Astana and to Almaty. And I really, really feel a lot of positive energy and a lot of optimism about the games community and the games development community there. So just very briefly, these are things that if you're on the internet, you probably already know that the games business is almost $200 billion globally. And it's 50% mobile, the rest mostly divided by PC and console games. To give that some, and also it is truly a global business that reaches everybody. So if you see this, you can see even in Brazil, 96% of young people in Brazil are playing games. 96% in Germany. So everybody under the age of 30 basically is playing games. And this is very important. And this is something that you're going to hear me mention again and again. If you want to change the world, if you want to touch people, if you want to share your culture, a video game will touch more people than any book, any movie, any song. This is the most important and most influential media anywhere in the world. This change has really happened basically in the last 10 to 15 years. And you can see now we're bigger than films, we're bigger than music in terms of revenue. And what happened here was the smartphone. The smartphone introduced games to more people of more ages around the world than anything else. Even before the smartphone, video games were bigger, but now we're, 3, 4, 5 times bigger than any other media. And what I like to say is, in the past, movies and then television had so much influence, they could even make a B movie actor or a really bad businessman could become president through the power of this media. But what happened more recently when Shinzo Abe, at the end of the Brazil Olympics, when he invited people to come to Japan, he dressed as Mario. Because Mario today is more loved than any character around the world, more loved and more well-known than Mickey Mouse. Video games have changed the image of Japan completely. Japan went from the enemy of World War II to an industrial power that people felt was very dangerous. And now, because of games and also anime and manga, but mostly games, people love Japan. People want to live in Japan because of the power of video games. When I was young, video games basically came from Europe, US, or Japan. That was all. And what's amazing to me now is how many great games, best in the world games, are coming from all kinds of countries. Vietnam making not Flappy Bird, Free Fire. But look at Finland. The population of Finland is less than 6 million people. But in a good year, games from Finland deliver 5% of all games revenue on the App Store. It's a huge, powerful economy. But I'm not really here to talk about money. My guess is you did not want to make games because you want to be rich. You're making games because you love games. I'm very interested to hear about more developers based in Kazakhstan, but I already know, wonderful success stories. Eidos Games was, I think, a runner-up, almost the winner at the Digital Bridge contest with a great new battle royale game. And I love the husband and wife team from Almaty that formed Katata Games. Top Run is their first game, and they're making more. And Katata Games won Apple's App of the Day. So I know the talent is there, and I know the technical know-how is there. There's a joke in the games industry that the colder the country, the better the game developer, because you stay inside all day and do coding. That's why there are so many great studios in Iceland and Finland and Sweden. And definitely Kazakhstan is a good competitor when it comes to cold regions. So lots of opportunity. And also, by the way, not just a traditional games, but Paxaro Labs by my friend Temerlin is doing great work with a Web3 and GameFi, also based in Astana Hub. And I was amazed to see this new platform called Manu, M-A-N-U. I don't know if you're aware of it, but it's an amazing platform that will allow you to make games without knowing how to use computer code. So these are great quality content and world-class gaming technology already started in Kazakhstan without a lot of help, without a lot of support, without a lot of funding, and without a very strong game community. Already this is possible. And of course, as you know, why it's possible in large part is because of changes in the technology and changes in the marketplace. You can use a middleware. So a team of 10 people now is as powerful as a team of 100 people used to be because they can use middleware. In the past, as a big company publisher, I could not get distribution of my games without my own sales team and without spending $5 million, $10 million in television. because retail stores in Europe and the US and Japan, they will not sell your game unless you have a big, expensive TV marketing campaign. None of this is necessary, right? Build your game on Unreal Engine or Unity. Promote over Twitch and YouTube and TikTok, and sell your game on Steam or the Apple Store or the Epic Store or the Android Store. So you can publish yourself. I had early experience. I funded a team, 2 people. Neither of them knew any game programming. They were animators by trade. But they learned Unreal Engine. They bought art from the marketplace. They animated it. They built a wonderful VR dinosaur hunting game called Island 359 and put it on early access and sold almost $1 million in revenue, just 2 people. The problem is, for where you are today as indie developers, there's no easy money for funding. I want to be an optimist. I want to tell you how much opportunity there is, but we need to be real. I'm happy to have a separate conversation to talk about fundraising, but I have many VCs. I say, hey, here's a great game. Here's the video. The team's really talented. And then when I say they're in Kazakhstan, they lose interest because they feel it's too risky. There's not a track record of success. Once they send the money to Kazakhstan, they don't know what's going to happen. Some investors are okay, but a lot of investors are not. So that doesn't mean you won't get VC investing, but it's harder. And VCs actually don't like to take a lot of risk. So you just have to hustle harder. You can apply for Unreal Dev grants. There's something we'll talk about another day called Xsola Funding Club. And of course, Web3 is another way to raise money. I think we need to find more ways to raise money from local and regional resources. And if one of you in Kazakhstan has a successful game, then everybody after you will have an easier time. But we need one breakout first. Long term, here is what I hope to see. And I am willing to come to Kazakhstan and help make this happen if I can help it. The best ecosystem. You'll have some university that's teaching some game design or teaching some game programming. We'll have a government program to give some seed funding. And then also we want the industry to get promoted. So I teach at a university game program. There are good programs in Europe and the United States. And many governments provide seed funding. Poland, for example, if you're going to start a game studio, there is a government budget that will pay you cash to get started. Many, many other countries also have a tax incentives, so you can get a rebate on your taxes. So if your game is successful and you pay $100,000 in taxes, they immediately give you $50,000 back. But the tax promotion only helps you after you're successful. The seed funding helps you at the beginning. Now, I am very sure that people who make films in Kazakhstan get government money, I believe, because they see that as a good for culture, educating the world, showing Kazakhstan culture to the world, because people think movies are cool. People think games are dangerous. Old people do. So I don't know how we can influence, but the ROI from a government investment in games is not only justified because of the economics, but also because of the cultural influence. And then what many governments do is they will also help market your game. They will pay for you to go to a game show. They'll host at their local embassies. For example, the consulate of Finland in Los Angeles every year will hold a festival to showcase Finland games for the California investment community, for the VCs, because they consider that a driver of the Finland economy. So I would love to see this happen in Kazakhstan. I don't know how to make it happen, but I'm very happy to help. The important thing is you can make a game that is as successful as Roblox, as Minecraft, um, as Garena Free Fire. You have the talent, you have the resources, you have the creative talent and the technical talent. But one thing that I don't understand is I don't see a strong community of developers. If there is a community, I'd love to know. But it's very important that you help each other out. The games industry in Finland started because the mobile phone company Nokia went bankrupt. A lot of people lost their jobs, and so they started forming game studios. But the important thing is, after the first games were successful, those founders invested in other people's game studios. Then that second generation became successful, and they invested in the third generation. And of course, they invest their cash, but they also invest their time. They also invest their energy and their advice, and they help each other. They teach each other. They share what they've learned. They share their leads. They make introductions to other investors. Those are the types of things that I really would like to see happen in the game community there. Astana Hub is a great start, but I hope that those of you working in Astana Hub and games will also reach out to other people, even not in games. I love to share this slide after every presentation. So the key point here is, if you think big, you'll achieve big. Or as I like to say, if you want to catch a big fish, you need a big hook. So that was really all I had to share with you today. What I most wanted to do was hear from you. What are the questions that you have? What are the needs that you have? There are many ways that I want to try to help, but I don't want to guess. I don't want to assume that I do know what all of you need. So I'll stop there. And if any of you have any questions, I'd love to hear. And I also want to hear some feedback from you in the future. What would you like me to do to help?
And Mike, I was actually thinking regarding the community and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a community for like bigger players, the guys that you talked about from Paxara Labs, from like Mad Out Games and everything like that. But I think that, like the smaller companies, firstly, they don't really go into the contact because they're kind of scared to share the idea.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about the fact that people are just, they want to do something, but they're also scared of losing their idea, that someone might catch it up or something like that?
I would be disappointed to hear that, because the idea is the easy part. Making the idea into something successful is the hard part. So that would be disappointed if I hear that. I've been in the games industry many years. I very, very rarely see people or hear of people stealing an idea. So, but that is an interesting observation. Interesting observation to know.
Okay, maybe someone else has some questions to ask, Mike.
Any thoughts? Anybody? You can speak up, or you can text the message if you have a question, including other topics that you'd like to hear in the future. I think I could give, for example, a lecture on how to make a pitch deck for investors, or how to do marketing for your games. So those are all things that I'm more than happy to talk about in the future. But I don't want to assume that I know what you need.
I remember I was having a conversation with one of the guys. He has like his small team. He's working on the project. And he asked me like, how do you do all the marketing stuff? How do you talk to people? Because we like to do stuff, but it's like usually the guys who like work on computers are not very sociable. So like, how do I create my community and how do I talk to my potential customers? I think marketing is a big thing here, because on the very beginning, I don't think they can like get access to good PR and stuff like that, but they still have to learn how to do that.
It is a challenge. And you know, when big publishers controlled the industry, they had big marketing departments, so it was easy to do. But the good news is you can do digital marketing from any place, market by market. If you want to do paid marketing, it's not difficult to do. But also, you can use communities like Discord, like Reddit, like a TikTok as ways to reach out. And from what I've seen, you know, people in Kazakhstan are, you know, every bit as knowledgeable about social media as any other market. I'm trying to remember the TikTok video about the house of young people I saw in Almaty. Do you know the one on TikTok? Something house. I have to remember what it was called, but there's some very sophisticated social media influencers in Kazakhstan. So the know-how is there.
I was actually pretty impressed. Like, I think it was in last week, I was just scrolling on my TikTok feed and I saw there was an information about the guy from Nazarbayev University. I think he was from there. And he like promoted his TikTok where he was saying on how he created like the game. It was like a mobile game in Kazakh. And the main thing that it was in Kazakh, using all the memes and stuff. And actually, so I just scrolled it. I saw the video and I think it got so many views that the guy in the end, he even had like an article on Tengri News, like saying how I use TikTok to kind of promote my game. And it was really interesting. And I was surprised that like there's a guy doing this kind of cool game right next to Astana Hub.
YOLO House was the TikTok that I was thinking of. YOLO House, that's very popular around the world. So here we go. How to attract a AAA game development companies to Kazakhstan. It would definitely boost the local community and gaming market. So I'm going to challenge you on that question, because I don't think you need AAA game companies to come to Kazakhstan. You have the talent. Now, if you were to hold a global games festival, it might be possible to bring experts out from Unity or from Unreal, or even from, I think Google already does work there, in terms of like a visiting lecture. And if you wanted to host an event in Astana Hub, I'm sure I could get some AAA game developers to come as a guest. But one of the problems that I see from throughout the startup community in Kazakhstan, not just games, is this idea of, oh, I see this kind of startup is popular in the US, so I'm going to do that in Kazakhstan, right? For example, oh, I see a group buying club is trendy now in the US, so I'm going to do a group buying club in Kazakhstan. And I believe there is a market for that. But that is just kind of like trying to copy what goes on in somewhere else. And what I'm most interested in are the original ideas from the community there. Now, for example, in the Middle East, UAE, Dubai, and Saudi Arabia, they are trying to attract AAA studios to come to UAE and to come to Saudi Arabia to help kickstart the local games ecosystem. And they're spending a lot of money using their petroleum wealth to create the favorable economic environment to do that. That's probably going to be harder to do in Kazakhstan. And unless somebody is willing to really spend a lot of money to subsidize that. But honestly, it's not necessary. You don't need Ubisoft Kazakhstan. You don't need EA Kazakhstan. And again, if you look at the success of companies now coming out of Belarus or Vietnam or Singapore, Poland is the most incredible story, right? Poland started out doing a cheap, low quality outsourced work. And then they started doing good quality outsourced work. And then they made so-so independent games. And then they made great games. Now they're making some of the best games in the world. But that started with in-house talent and a little bit of government support. So I believe that in Kazakhstan, you can do it. It would be very helpful if you had a little bit more government support to support some video game programs at the national universities, to give some seed funding, to help give some marketing support or some marketing budget behind you. That would be a big help. But I think the technical talent is there. You have some excellent technical education, and I've seen the creativity in Kazakhstan. So what I'll do from my side is try to give as much advice and support and introductions as I can, which I can, always happy to do through Astana Hub. So sorry for a very, very long answer for kind of a short question. But I'm also interested here. I see we have somebody here from Funtix Games. I'm very curious to know if you've been able to have success promoting or marketing your games at a global level. Because obviously, if your games are on the App Store for Apple or Android, you can also just market directly through them on their App Store. It's one of the easiest things to do. It just sometimes can be expensive. Well, we have a shy group.
Hello, everyone. I have a question.
Yes.
Is there any a short way for the rookie to create his own game? For example, I have just an idea for right now. So what is the best next steps should I do? So, for example, should I start to create some 3D reference of my characters or locations, or I should start to research something like Unity? So how it works?
So yeah, it's a great question. Thank you for that question. So I think there are several ways to start. Traditionally, the easiest way would be to use a middleware like Unity, because you can learn Unity on YouTube. There are lots of tutorials in many different languages. However, you have a really interesting new option with a platform like Roblox, because Roblox has tools that will allow you to make the game without having a lot of technical know-how. And also, you can launch the game on their platform. So you have sort of both the development tool and the marketing tool built into Roblox at the same time. Now, you may be lucky and make a hit game on Roblox and you're already making revenue. Or you can just think about Roblox as your prototype tool. So you make a very simple version of your game idea using Roblox, but that simple version becomes the prototype that allows you to get more support to build the larger full version of your game, for example, in Unity. I am also very, very interested to see what this new platform, Manu, is going to do. Because Manu is very similar to Roblox, but it's built with a new generation of technology. And again, it's made in Kazakhstan. So you should be able to work directly with the platform owners to get a head start. I think it's just Manu, MANU.com. Let me make sure that I have the URL right. Maybe not. Nope. Give me 1 second. And then I'll put it in the text. I really encourage you to test it out. Here we go. Oh, it's manu.co. If you have not tested this or tried this, I really, really encourage you to. Here, I put it in the text. Just manu.co. It's a very, very interesting new platform. I think it has a lot of disruptive technology, and again, it's homemade in Kazakhstan. So here in the chat box is from the Funtix games. They don't speak English well. So it says Funtix is a small indie team, 6 games in their portfolio. They gave away the game Jungle Town for kids under 7, now making a racing game, 12 kilometers by 12 kilometers territory, designed for mobile, online or offline, kind of like Need for Speed Heat or Need for Speed Most Wanted or GTA. And now it's mostly in-house, but they're trying to speed up their development for investments. So I just think that's a wonderful story. And, you know, in the case of Katata Games, I was speaking in Almaty, an event called Go Viral. And this was not just for games, right? This is for everybody. And maybe there were like 200 or 300 people in the audience. So I took out my phone and I just said, look, this game just shipped this week or just recently from a Katata Games. Everybody here today, open up your phone, download the game, give it a 5-star review. And it was, 2 days later, they won App of the Day. Now, I don't know that because of that support, it got App of the Day. Maybe it was already going to get it. But just the power of, 300 people in one room, all hearing the message. So maybe 50% took action. So maybe 150 people did it. They wanted to support, one of their community, and they weren't even gamers. So I really hope that all of you will reach out and support each other. If this game from Funtix is a free-to-play game, even if you're not a kid, download the free-to-play game, play it for a day, give it a 5-star review, and then you're helping out another developer. And all of you, all through your communities, should be able to do that. Because if there's enough buzz about your game, then it rises in the game rankings, and it's easier to see in the store, and it will get pushed just by the automatic algorithm inside the store. The visibility will improve. Now, you could be nice and spend a little bit of money in the game too, but even if you don't spend money, just your activity in the game, playing the game every day for 7 days, will help your other developers. Those are small things that we can all do. Any other questions? And I'd like to know, would it be worth it for me to talk in the future about how to make a pitch deck for your game? I hear about how to market your game, how to message your game. Those are all things I'd be happy to cover in the future. Good. And again, everybody tell Astana Hub you want them to bring Mike out to Kazakhstan. I'll be happy to come out and hold a workshop for you.
Yeah, maybe with the community we can do that and pursue our management to bring you here.
Yeah, what I would love to do is first just to come out by myself and hold some workshops and talk to people. And then maybe sometime in the summer, you actually try to hold a game show, a game festival for game designers. And I could try to reach out to some other companies to come and support the program. So those are all things we can do. Not just esports. I think it's wonderful that you have an esports tournament at all of these events. And I know the Kazakh CSGO players are really, really talented. But I think there's even more opportunity than just that. So I'm going to give everybody one more chance. If you have any questions, either by text or by voice, let me know. If not, I really encourage you to give your feedback to the Astana Hub team. Here we go. What do you think is a good decision? Take a course in Unreal Engine to work in Kazakhstan. If you can learn Unreal Engine, it is such a powerful way to boost your career. So here's what's happening right now. So many people know how to use Unity. But Unity has limits to its power. It's It's the best engine for many developers, but for a lot of high-end work, everybody uses Unreal. But here's what's happened that's different. Hollywood is using Unreal Engine. I can't even begin to describe how amazing it is. But now when they're filming a TV show like Mandalorian on Star Wars, they have a huge LED screen in the background. And the background image is made in Unreal Engine. And they film the actors in front of the screen. So not a green screen, not a green screen. So the actors, the directors, the cameramen, they see the real LED screen background and the actors, and they can change the light at the real time. So Hollywood is now shifting away from green screen into this new technology, and they need Unreal Engine developers to make it happen. So now what's happening is people who use Unreal Engine, they can work either in the games industry or in the movie business. And there's so much more career opportunity. And if you are an Unreal Engine developer, you can get work around the world as a remote worker. So you can be in Astana and work in Hollywood at the same time. And more studios are doing it, and the technology is getting better and better and better. But today, when I say Unreal Engine, everybody thinks games. In 5 years, everyone will be using this for movies. The business will be 75% movies and 25% games. So what I would like to see, of course, is I want to see more universities teach Unreal Engine. You know, sometimes they're teaching this computer languages that nobody needs. Teaching Unreal Engine would be a great opportunity, and also teaching creative design. So yeah, thank you very much. That was a great question.
Mike, thank you very much that you share your experience. It is very exciting. I would like to ask you about metaverse and game development. What do you think was the future of connection metaverse and games?
Well, as an investor, I've put a lot of money into metaverse, and I have lost all that money. But I invested a little too soon, and I'm not giving up, and I'm investing again in a new cloud-based metaverse company. I do 100% believe in the metaverse vision, but I think it's going to take time. We have had more than 40 years to learn how to make video games, but learning how to make games for VR or AR or other kind of immersive is very new. So I believe 100% in how the metaverse can help us work remotely, socialize remotely. I'll tell you one of the stories why I believe it. So I was a CEO of Square Enix America. So the US company, right? I wasn't CEO of the Japanese parent company, just the subsidiary. And first we had Final Fantasy 11 online, and then later we had Final Fantasy 14. But from Final Fantasy 11, every year, a few people would send us a wedding invitation because they met their love on Final Fantasy 11. And they met online, they fell in love, and they got married in the real world. And they usually had like a Final Fantasy theme at their wedding ceremony. And they invited us. I regret I never had a chance to go by myself. But the relationships that people built in their virtual world was a real meaningful relationship. It wasn't just something fake or virtual. It had a real meaning to them. And that experience with the Final Fantasy online marriage really opened my eyes. And since then, I know people who met playing World of Warcraft and got married. And now they work together as a husband and wife at a new game studio. So I really believe in the power of the metaverse. When you think about things like a real-time language translation and that virtual presence, it means that, again, you can be in Astana, I can be in Los Angeles, but we're working together like we're side by side in the same game studio. And that is going to mean that talented people don't have to move. Remember, I was an immigrant. I had to move from the USA to Tokyo because I wanted to work in games. My son had to immigrate from the US to China. He works at NetEase in China at a game studio. In the future, we're all just going to put on our VR headset and be able to work through the metaverse, regardless of our distance.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we are coming up close to the top of the hour. So if you're a shy person and you're waiting, this may be your last chance today. But as I said, I want to come back and talk again. I want to talk about the topics that you want to hear and you want to know. So please give your feedback about how I can help you. And I'll make sure the next conversation is customized for you.
Everyone's shy. Maybe what we can do after that, I'm going to send out the polls so people actually can like write down. Maybe they're kind of shy right now, but we can ask them what they want to hear. So we'll do it.
Please let me know. I mean, I have shipped over 200 games. And I've worked and lived in Tokyo, United States, London, Australia. And as I said, I have my family working in the games business in China too. So I'm very ready to answer any questions you have about making and publishing games.
Okay.
Hello?
Question?
Yes. Yes.
So how detailed should the prototype be? So is there any golden mean look like in your opinion? So the best, I don't know how, so is there any best starter pack for the prototype of future game? In your opinion, how it looks like?
I think the most important thing is to do something that's different. There's a word in Japanese called Niban Senji. Niban Senji means the second cup of tea from the same tea bag. And the idea is kind of like, oh, I'm going to take your idea, take your tea bag, and make one more cup of tea with the same old tea bag. And it's never the same taste. So the important thing is to make a game that is different and unique, because then you don't need the best art. You don't need the best programmer, because your idea is unique. And one of the best examples comes from Kazakhstan. They made a game called a car parking simulator. It is what it sounds like. It's just a game where it teaches you how to park a car in many different simulations. It's a wonderful game, and it's a very successful game. And there was, of course, after that, 20 other companies made a copycat game, but he was the first and he was the original. So I think the most important thing is your teams are small and your teams don't have a lot of money, but you have talent and you have ideas. So do something crazy and different. You know, I saw a team in Japan, they made a game, or not in Japan, in China, where you had tweezers, and the game was you have to pull the hair out of your nose. It was a crazy idea. But if it's a small team, be different. Be something that maybe only 0.0001% of the people like it. But 0.001% is a lot of people if you're looking at a global market. So don't try to make a Call of Duty 2. or a Call of Duty copy. Make something completely new and completely different would be my advice to you. Go crazy. Don't be ordinary, and don't be the second cup of tea.
Hello, can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is the first time I participate in such meeting. And I don't know if you have discussed the metaverse $10 billion investment that never or returned any, never gave any profitable product for Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you discussed that?
No, but but I'm really happy you asked that question. So by the way, I just saw that Animoca Brands is going to make a $200 million fund for investing in the metaverse. They announced yesterday. But yeah, thank you. Let's talk about Facebook. I really feel deja vu when I see the money that Facebook lost, because I was at Microsoft when Xbox was losing a lot of money. I don't know if Xbox lost $10 million, but let me tell you, when I was at Xbox, everybody at Microsoft hated Xbox, hated it. They wanted to kill it. I was at an all hands company meeting, and people would stand up and say to the CEO, to Bill Gates, please cancel Xbox. Xbox is holding down our stock price, holding back my bonus. If we canceled Xbox today, my stock would go up $3. For me, that's $1 million cash. Cancel Xbox. People would stop us on the Microsoft campus and yell at us because we're hurting the company. But Bill Gates believed in it. And I asked Bill Gates once, after the success, why were you so stubborn to stay with it? And he said he was worried that Sony was going to use consumer products to take away Microsoft from people's homes. We called it attack from the family room. And he said, I wanted to stick with Xbox because I was afraid of Sony. We needed a weapon against Sony. But then he said the real reason was it's turning out to be the most important weapon against Apple. Because as the top leader, Mark Zuckerberg has to think 10, 20 years ahead. But the other management and the shareholders and the board of directors, they're only thinking 1 year or 2 years ahead. Facebook's problem is not metaverse. Facebook's problem is Apple is stealing their advertising money, and TikTok is stealing their young users. And to me, that the $10 billion is the investment. So I want to tell Facebook, don't stop. Keep going. It's the only way they can save Facebook in the future. And I know that because it's the exact same experience we had at Microsoft, the exact same experience with Xbox. And Bill Gates was a stubborn, and he believed in it. And Bill Gates doesn't even play games. So anyways, that's my speech. But thank you. That's a great question. I really appreciate that question. I hope more people ask questions like that.
Thank you. Your answer really now makes me think about it, about strategic long-term planning of Mark Zuckerberg. And I would agree that he has no choice. I mean, either he will degrade slowly and in 10 years there is no Facebook, or he makes a big bet on meta universe, whatever.
Yeah.
And he wins everything, the whole humanity.
I love the hardware. I really love the hardware. But the Horizons VR experience is just not fun. So, and I don't know how to fix it. I don't have the creative idea, but I think he has the right strategy. It's just bad luck that right now TikTok and Apple are killing him, right? When Microsoft was making Xbox, at least the company was doing okay. But he has some big problems to fix. Yeah, thank you. So these are great questions, guys. Thank you so much. And I love to debate. I love to have a conversation. So I hope we can continue this. I'd love to come back and do this again. So please give your feedback on topics or ideas or workshop. I'm happy to help anyway. I love Kazakhstan. I love the people I've met there. I really believe in the talent. And in the future, when people talk about Finland and Sweden and Poland as a global success story, I want to hear about Kazakhstan too. So one of you is going to be a worldwide super successful gamer. I just don't know which one. So I have to be nice to everybody until we know the winner.
Thank you very much, Mike. I think that was very, very inspirational at the same time, but very informational. Like both were covered during the webinar. Well, I wouldn't say it's a webinar though, more like a meetup.
Yes, absolutely. So let's do it again. Let me know what you'd like to do. And I look forward to seeing everyone. And tell your friends, bring your friends with you.
Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.